Welkom bij Made in China, de podcast. Een serie over makerschap, over cultuur en over China.
Jullie gaan kijken en luisteren en wij gaan proeven met hele interessante gasten die alles kunnen vertellen over de tentoonstelling Made in China.
Lobster with imian, long life noodles. The one on the left side is suala tudosi, which is a Sichuan appetizer. Potato shreds with Sichuan peppers. On the other side, it's a typical Chinese appetizer, fuji fei bian. And it's often mistranslated here in, or worldwide actually, by Mr. and Mrs. Lung parts, which is not because it's a wrong translation of the characters. It has a whole history to it. Yeah. But I keep it to the ingredients. Why is it a famous dish? Because the owners of this stall, a couple named Fu, had a road stall who prepared this dish of offal meat. So it's beef tongue, it's beef stomach, and beef heart. So it's organ meat, not always enjoyed by guests, but those who love it and have an appreciation, when they see the name Fuji Fei Pian, they automatically know what it is without me explaining.
Serious?
Yes.
Oh, Fuji Fei Pian.
Is it Cantonese?
Sichuan.
Because I have it with my Cantonese friends, but then it's with a creamy sauce in it or so.
This is the Sichuanese.
Sichuanese.
Yeah.
You all know it?
Yeah.
Sure, yeah.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
Great. Well, welcome to our...
I think this actually could be like Dongbei.
Yeah, but this can be anywhere.
Yeah.
In Shanghai, I have two. We
Yeah.
also have this.
I'm going to say welcome for one brief moment, and then we're going to start.
We'll just eat.
Yeah. I'm very happy that you are here today, and I think we're going to have an amazing afternoon. This will be the podcast about craftsmanship, and we will all talk about craftsmanship from a perspective of our exhibition Made in China, and maybe you can explain a little bit what we are going to do this afternoon.
Next to me is Minella. I'm Jung. We are your hosts from this series of podcasts and videos as well. And actually what we are doing, we're just having a great meal with great people, and we will talk about topics that are also coming back in the exhibition Made in China, which will be in October 24, and then a year from then on in Rotterdam, and then a year afterwards in Amsterdam. So two years of exhibitions, but you cannot, it's only one way of seeing. And now we are sensing and we're tasting food, and we have found out that Made in China is also about the food, and also about the way we talk about food, and we talk about this topic at the table.
Makership, and I think makership, and today makership from the perspective of craftsmanship and training, and how were you raised and born, and where were you raised and born. I think first of all it's interesting from your perspective, Wildeman, because it's your exhibition, not only yours, but you're the curator. Can you tell me a little bit about the exhibition and craftsmanship?
So my name is Wildeman. I'm the curator for the Chinese collections and the curator for the Made in China exhibition. And so we're looking at making as a way of world making, how you experience the world influences what you make, but also how made things influence how you interact with the world around you. And we're taking China as a case study, so China as a making culture, looking at it from different perspectives. And we focus on different chapters. We have a chapter about material and techniques, which really focuses also about craftsmanship, how you work with specific materials. But we also have a whole topic about production on a larger scale. For example, mass production, how this influences, impacts the world, or has local impact. And so, I think the guests that we have at the table here can provide very interesting insights into this.
Yeah, I think maybe you can introduce An, because you know her from her work, I think, from her craftsmanship. How did you met? Did you met her on paper, or how did you met her?
Only digitally so far.
Seriously?
Yeah. No, but so I know that An, I don't know, maybe you should introduce yourself though, what you do.
Yeah. My name is An Wong. I paint the inside painting of snuff bottles So for about 30 years.
You say it really quickly, but it's a large, I think, craftsmanship where it's really a fine art. Can you explain it what you're doing for the ones who just can't hear you?
Yeah, for before I paint the inside of a snuff bottle, I have to make my own brushes. For the top of the brush, I need to choose for the hair of the wolf, the sheep, pig, or a sable hair.
So choose the hair.
The hair.
One
so
hair, right?
a group of hairs. Yeah, and the top of the brush is curved, and the steel of the brush is is flexible. It's made ironware. Ironware?
Ironware?
Yeah, ijzerdraad.
Yeah.
Wire.
Wireware, yeah. So the brush needs the flexibility to reach every corner of the inside of the bottles or the bowls.
So you choose also the length. Is
of
dependable on the bottle.
Yeah, depend on how big your bottles is, or bowl is bigger. You need the steel of your brush has to be longer.
Can you show? You have brought.
Yeah.
You can show.
Yeah. So here is my brush. This one is which was longer.
Yes, it's a longer one.
Yeah, and it's a small one, and also the hair of the brush is smaller.
Yeah.
So I have different brushes.
And so this is already art, I guess.
You made these yourself?
Yeah, I have to make it yourself. You can buy it in the shop. So every artist have to make it yourself. Make it self.
Yeah, because maybe it's for people who have never seen a snuff bottle before, they're usually maybe like 4 centimeters tall, and they can be made of several materials, but including glass or clear crystals. And so that's how you can paint the inside. So you're working in reverse, right? Like
in mirrored.
Yeah,
it's mirrored. Yeah.
Did you bring a bottle?
Yeah. Can I show it?
You're working in reverse. Because it takes a really long time.
Yeah, and sometimes you also write characters like calligraphy, and that has to be.
You have to do it in mirrored. Yeah.
Oh.
And also the process is very different from painting on the canvas. The first layer we make is the first layer we see. The first layer we paint. We started the first layer.
In reverse.
In reverse. The last layer is the background. We go into the background.
Yes, you have to, of course. With painting, you use layers and layers and layers.
Yeah.
But you think in reverse, so again you start with the last one first and the first one last.
For example, if you paint on the canvas, the first layer, the most of the time, you could not see anymore because it's covered to the later painted layers. Do you understand?
I understand. Yeah, I understand.
So we have to think about.
What fascinates me, why did you choose this? Because it's such a complex technique.
It's a technique I have learned. Yeah, when I finished my middle school, I want to go to study art, but I couldn't. But I went to the draw school. My teacher of the draw school has advised me to go to the painting the inside of snuff bottles, because it's not far away from our home, and he has a relative who was the artist of painting the inside of snuff bottles. So I went to the city of Hengshui, and I have learned this technique.
Wow.
It's very traditional way to paint. There was a small group artists do this kind of work.
But it's because
not,
it's no.
In China, it's also not very known. Not everybody knows this technique.
And there are several schools, right? Like you are part of the Hebei school.
And there's four styles. The Ji style is Hebei, and Jing style is come from Beijing, and Yu is come out from Shandong, and the other styles come out of Cantonese. They are about a small group. Our group is bigger from the.
But it's when you would see it from the.
This one I
you can
show each one how I do it. Here is the hole. I need to use this brush from here. From the bowl, I have to do it in the side. I have to through inside. I have to paint several strokes and to put it out and to see if this right.
Oh my God!
These have to be under. How is that?
Below.
Below. Has to be below.
This is from Maxima and King Alexander. Did they even saw it? Because
the first work I did since I'm here.
Since you were in the Netherlands, this was your first.
I didn't know who are they. I saw
what a great story.
I saw this one from the television TV guide. I saw they are looking each other so lovely. I was just married at the same time almost, and
they inspired you just because they were looking to it. Yeah. Oh, it's a beautiful story.
The loves. Yeah, I was in love too.
He looks better in a bottle. This.
But I can imagine this is even more difficult
really
because this is a sphere, like a bowl, whereas often snuff bottles are flat, and so you have a flat surface. But having a conical surface is even more challenging. Or
it's difficult.
How many
you have
hours?
To see. This one I have to 8 months about that. Yeah, you have to look like. To paint a landscape or something like that, you can make a little bit mistakes. But here, if a hair is different, it does not look like. So this takes more time to paint. I have.
Rong Hua,
I have the snuff bottles.
One moment, I will explain quickly.
Yeah.
The food, which is no problem. This is jielan. It's a Chinese vegetable, also known as Chinese broccoli, not because of the flower bulb, but we eat it because of the crunchy stem. This is cha ye mei li xia. It's made with special tea leaves. The chef asked my husband for my own collection of tea leaves. We use the natural one, and you will see them. Those are the dark spots. This is Gambian Siji Dou. Gambian Siji Dou is from the Sichuan cuisine, and it refers to a cooking technique. The beans here are deep fried, and it has to be 180 degrees. Too high, you will burn them. Too low, and they will be as a sponge, so they don't taste nice. Exactly at the right time, they have to be collected out of the oil into the wok and then stir-fried with the Sichuan peppers. That one is which is a pepper and salt prawns on a bed of vermicelli. With steamed, so it's a different technique, although it's the same main ingredient, but the different way of preparation will give a different mouthfeel and also a texture. I would say, do enjoy. Yes?
Thank you.
Don't leave it. Helemaal goed. Dank je. Geniet. Yes?
Did you know this painting? Did you?
Yes, I've seen it in China very much. And I've been explained about the hard labor, but I've never seen it up close. And to meet an artist is something very, very special, especially at my table. Let me help you.
Thank you.
Here you go.
Yeah, I have some bottles. Yeah, this one. So, sorry.
Yeah.
And to paint from the inside of a bottle is each something easier than to paint in a bowl. This one I can use a small brush to through this hole. So I do this. I can see it from the red direction. In the bowl, I have to do it in the side.
Yeah, in a curved surface, huh?
Yeah, and curved
So
surface.
you think every time you switch your eyes in a kind of technique in thinking in the opposite.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
It's different. This one is the natural crystal. I only paint the above the bottle. The under below is the natural, the art of the nature.
And so you make the mix
Yeah,
of nature
this one.
and
Yeah, this one.
and so
it's
you
different.
did you know you have lived in Shanghai and also have lived on a rural place. Where did you see this technique?
For
Or
the listeners, you is Coco Zhao.
sorry, Coco.
Doesn't
Thank
matter.
you.
You can call me anything.
Thank
It's just
you.
a name.
Welcome at our table because we are with, actually we are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 people at the table. You already heard Wildeman, you heard An, and now we have Coco. And maybe just, can you tell us something about yourself before, because
Yeah.
and then we can freely talk while we eat.
Sure. Thank you. I think I'm coming from a very different field than HF and An Wong because I'm a musician. So I grew up in Hunan, a small countryside city in south of China. My parents are Chinese opera. My dad is a Chinese opera composer. My mama was a Chinese opera performer. So I grew up with a very traditional Chinese musical environment. By age of 10, I went to Wuhan to study piano and oboe.
At
I
10
have so
years
much
old.
food in my mouth.
Oh,
Sorry.
You were very young when you started to study.
Yeah.
Because you were so talented, or did you were noticed by?
I don't know am I talented or not, but my family really pushed me.
Yeah, you had musical parents, so they wanted you also to be a musician.
They wanted me to go on the musical,
And classical, Western.
I
oboe
studied
and piano.
classical Western, yeah.
So they wanted you to be the new Lang Lang or so.
I think they didn't have that much ambitions on me, but they hoped that I can become a professional musician. And that's where I am right now. So I've been studying classical music. Then I went to Shanghai Music Conservatory for oboe and composition. From there, same as HF, I started to get into jazz by myself. So I formed a band with schoolmate. We started to play jazz music together. And that's how I just kind of went on this non-coming back road.
Coming back.
Yeah.
不归路啊。
不归路，对的。谢谢你的翻译。And then by all these years playing jazz music has become not only a profession, but also, for me, a way of living, because it requires of listening. I'm not a very good listener. As you can see, I talk a lot. So jazz helps me to study myself how to listen. I'm still working on it.
But explain to me. It's that it helps yourself to listen. How does it help yourself? What's your methods?
Okay. So jazz music is a teamwork. So you create music spontaneously at that moment on the stage with the musicians you are with at that moment. So everybody has to be in some sort of same level, because otherwise it would be, you can't really make the music together. But even when you're on the same level, you have to see how you feel that day and how you let the music out of your body in flow. Not always in flow. So you have to listen.
You have to listen to the other ones,
Exactly.
but also to your own soul.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I always keep, let's say, I have 40%. If there's 100% of concentration, I have a 40% of concentration focus on myself, another 40% of concentration focus on each band members. If it's a big band, then it's a lot. I also play with orchestra, so there's a lot to pay attention with, but I always save another 15 to 20% to the audience.
So still you're waiting. So you you reserve something for the audience. And how do you work with the audience?
Well, you can tell from, unless if it's in a concert hall, I cannot see everybody that far. But if it's in a club or art space, I can see the audiences. I can feel energy.
Yeah.
I believe in energy. Everybody has this energy. You can feel, do they like it or they don't like it? Are they in it or are they out of it? And my job is to take them in.
Yeah, you
Take them in and mesmerize.
Yeah.
Well, the interesting thing about jazz, I play some jazz, maybe not at your level, but the thing is that it's both structure and freedom within the structure. That's just so interesting about jazz. So you have your chord progression, or you have the song or the melody, and it allows you to express yourself within certain constraints. And I think the constraints are what makes jazz interesting, because you have to begin and end
Within the
at
format.
16 or 32 bars, I don't know, but within format. And when that succeeds, you feel something is happening, and also the audience also feels that there's something happening which is more than the 4 or 5 members of the band.
Yeah, but for me, that requires listening.
Yes.
In order to make that happen.
And also precision, like
Sorry.
I see. We try as hosts to see parallels. I see you with your tools, and musicians also have tools. That's your profession, but also the way to pay attention to the others.
Yeah.
I'm also thinking about I talk a lot to potters, but also sculptors, how you have to sort of listen to what the material tells you of where you can take it. And I don't know, that sort of rung with me as you were saying how you were sort of listening to the energy of the audience and the other musicians.
Yeah. Mostly I focus on the musicians first, because that's the
first.
That's the priority.
Yeah.
And then once we are solid, then I can have more space to absorb what the audience.
Then you're outwardly.
Yeah. But first, I want to get my foundation solid with my band members.
Yeah.
And usually that takes 1 or 2 songs. Unless if the musicians I play with all the time, then you can easily quickly.
Then you know each other.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You know which button to touch to make them.
So
happy.
Do you still play oboe as a jazz musician, or what's your instrument?
I voice and piano.
You sing, okay.
Yeah. Right. So I'm a vocalist. I write, I arrange, and I sing. Yeah.
And is there something Chinese about jazz? Because of course there was Shanghai jazz, but
Shanghai jazz probably is the most well-known in the jazz part for China. But actually, I think it's kind of a limited view of Chinese jazz. People often ask me, how do you define Chinese jazz? I said, it's not enough, just look at me. I'm Chinese, I'm playing jazz, and that's Chinese jazz.
The living body of.
What else you want, right? But I think most of the time, no matter audience, comes to this question about belonging.
Yeah, it's belonging, yeah.
Belonging. So this is funny because in a jazz standard, maybe you know this song, Chega de Saudade, from Antônio Carlos Jobim.
I played it this weekend.
Yeah, No More Blues. And in this song, there's the one lyrics that says, home is where your heart is. It's a cliche, but I think it's such a warm truth that actually home is where your heart is. So this belonging for me is, as long as I found myself that I can be with music, that I can be with my band member together, then that's my home.
Then you created a safe space. Is that home?
Yeah, for me that's home.
Yeah.
You make your home. Exactly. Thank you, Rong Hua. You make your home. Home doesn't come, it doesn't drop on your head. You have to find and slowly polish to define your home.
This is also a kind of craftsmanship and makership.
It is.
Can you define it?
For me, I don't know for other people.
Actually, the song but it's not a jazz program, but the song you're referring to was written by João Gilberto in the dictatorship time, and he wrote it in his bathroom. And he had to play very softly because he was afraid that the military could hear him. So he played this in.
Beautiful.
Vai minha tristeza. So that's why he made his sounds, his chords, he could just play very tiny. But it turned out to be the most amazing jazz progressions and innovative because his space was his bathroom with only tiles and a lot of echo, and he
So he created home as well
Yeah.
in his bathroom in wartime. Yeah.
This is quite funny, right? Why always the best art coming out of depressions or
constraints.
restrictions? Like it's like grass. They have to stab it or grow out of some cracks, out of stones.
Yeah. Hangfeng, can you confirm that something came out of you?
And now we go on to HF, which is not high frequencies, but
Oh, Hangfeng.
Hangfeng, because you haven't introduced yourself yet.
Yeah.
We are full of artists here. It's so nice.
Can you confirm a little bit? Can you introduce yourself, but also confirm a little bit about yourself and what came out of your
Work.
Yeah, thank you. My name is Chen Hangfeng because the family name in China is always in the front, but you can call me Hangfeng or HF. I prefer that way actually.
HF.
My friend always call me HF. You called me twice earlier. I want to chip in about this when you mentioned this jazz and what's the identity of a Chinese jazz part, because I felt I'm a big music lover. I love jazz, classical. Every time I listen traditional Chinese music, I always feel there is a flow in there. So for me, that is also part of the the improvisation. And I will say this goes back maybe to the philosophy of Taoism, way of being, live the moment. Being, yeah. Then you find your home, and then you will, yes. That's how I like to chip in. Back to the introduction, I had a graphic design, oil painting, sculpture and photography background from Shanghai Fine Arts University. But then after I worked as a self-taught graphic designer for a while, and then I started to practice my own work. I sort of picked up one of the folk art format, which is paper cut, because I feel the way how the paper cut works is mostly it lies in the pattern. There's something interesting about close connection between the graphic design and the paper cuts. In order to do that, I studied a little bit of the traditional technique from a paper cut master in Shanghai. Took me a few months. But then maybe I talk about a little bit about what the work was, because the way I see paper cut is it's a representation of a traditional Chinese craft, but also there's a certain identity lying there. What I did is I borrowed this form and I mixed with contemporary logos or icons, symbols into this pattern.
So the same as An, you were looking around.
Yeah.
You were combining things together.
Yeah. Your own art.
Yeah, because that was the way I see how back then China was being westernized in a way or materialized.
explain to me a little bit?
Yeah.
Because you were living all for a long time in China.
In Shanghai, yeah.
And in Shanghai. And how did it were modernized fire materials?
As when I was growing up, I remember because I was born after the Cultural Revolution generation.
Yes.
And as An mentioned, there's not much material or like visual material you can sort of like look. Of course, there's libraries, but it's not so easy to approach.
So there was nothing to offer for imagination a lot.
Not much. But this is also interesting level because you come with like a white paper, a white sheet. But of course, in a way, maybe in the primary school, you're a bit of maybe brainwashed in a certain system. I don't want to expand this, but sorry, maybe it reminds me because I think I go a little bit far already.
No.
Yeah.
It's okay, just go on.
And it reminds me.
And if you
bring it on, what it reminds.
If you want to have certain things blocked, delete it. It's okay.
Yeah.
And ask.
Just
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you don't have enough material, you get more creative to find the other way to make your own to express yourself.
So the limitations give you more.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now I remember what I want to say because I think in the beginning of the 80s, China was in such dramatic turn, which is opening up to the world and the commercialization of privatization. So suddenly made all different kind of material quite accessible. And then at the same time, I have, I still remember the first time I tasted Coca-Cola, which was maybe when I was like 10 years or 9 years old. I was like, oh.
You were lucky?
How did you get the Coca-Cola? How did you, because somebody gave it to you, or how did it?
Somehow my uncle had some sort of like a fascination about it. He loves it. Yeah, and the first time I tasted it, so weird, man. It tastes like like a medicine, like
like a
zhongyao.
Like a medicine.
Chinese medicine,
Of Coca-Cola was also as medicine.
Exactly.
The recipe has been changed over the years.
Yeah.
That's the whole thing.
Yeah.
But it's so fun that you all are nodding.
We're
because you have the same experience.
Same generation, yeah. And then this brand or this materialization. For example, I was very much into sneakers when I was a teenager, like when I was 16. I still remember so horrible what I did is like ask my dad to buy a Nike sneaker. At the time, I think his monthly salary was like maybe a little bit more than 200 RMB, but the sneaker cost something like 100. No, 100 at the time, RMB, or maybe a little bit more. So, of course, I didn't realize that. But then, when I was making those work, I used those icons and symbols mixed with the traditional pattern. I think that was what it really triggered. But of course, the form of paper cut, I was quite inspired when I was a very young kid. At the time, there's not much materialized, But then this is somehow still kind of surviving craftsman from the past.
So you did it when you were at home, or?
I played a little bit when I was little, but I cannot do really well back then. Yeah. But I took it as a total different practice since after I studied the craftsmanship.
When you were older, you.
Yeah, when I was in the late 20s, early 30s.
And I heard something that you use it for Christmas as well, or that you do something for Wildeman. Maybe you can jump in.
Yeah, well, so actually you can see Hangfeng's work in two parts of the exhibition, because we're showing the paper cut you're talking about with the logos. But yeah, you've moved to the Netherlands to also do the Film Academy, right? And maybe you should tell yourself about how you're using paper cutting in your film work and the film that people can see in the exhibition, because that's actually in a different part of the exhibition.
Yeah. Well, from maybe more than 10 years ago, my practice become more and more into like video art, time-based media. And but at the same time, I found collage is a very interesting way of working. So I use cutout motifs, sometimes borrowed images from a magazine, and I cut out them, I make them move like stop motion animation, but with different background, with like real footage. So for that, I actually did a research master since 2021 at the Netherlands Film Academy. And the interesting thing is what I'm looking at, what I see, what I'm doing right now is actually what I wrote on my application for the program. So I want to use collage as a way of narrating. So back to the work that will be shown in the Made in China. It is about the story from a village where lots of Christmas ornaments were made, like Christmas balls or Santa image, or I mean, you name it, like umbrella sticks. Yeah. I discovered this village in 2006, and I have been following this village because I saw it's such an interesting phenomenon.
It's a real-time village.
It's a real-time village. They're still doing this right now.
And where is it based?
It is close to Wenzhou, Rui'an. And the interesting about this village, because I spent more time and I learned more about this place, which had a really profound history. They used to have a lot of scholars, like from 1,000 years ago. That village has its own library, like in Nansong, Southern Song.
Very scientific, very professors.
And I think this was all recorded, still recorded in their family book, wasn't destroyed somehow. And I discovered that there were like prime minister used to come from this village in the Southern Song dynasty back then. But now the village, it looks like a place every day Christmas is celebrated.
Serious?
Yeah. But this also has to do with my personal maybe experience, because I was I experienced the maybe the Christmas in Canada, and I feel there is a bit of like ritual, but connect with Christianity, but also family values. Somehow so different than the Christmas experience I had.
Can you tell me
Shanghai.
a little bit?
Like as what I described maybe earlier, I felt like a Christmas in Shanghai, we used to throw parties, get drunk.
Yeah? You were together?
Party time.
Yeah, but I kind of know that kind of a Christmas is Shanghai Christmas. It's not the real Christmas, right?
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, what is real Christmas? Christmas is a celebration among family and friends. But if it's traditional, it's mostly inclined to a certain faith. But Christmas by itself, as an event, is celebrated among friends and family.
Yeah, but I think what he said is, I think during that time, Christmas in Shanghai is more of a 商机, 怎么说? It's an
opportunity
for making business, making money.
Yeah.
Making business, making money.
Yeah. Every restaurant has a promotional menu.
Commercial event.
Yeah, totally.
So you're together and you're dealing with, you're creating a business deal, or it's
No. We were the consumer.
We're the
We're
consumer.
spending money.
Yeah.
You're spending money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought you're,
Yeah. Yeah.
Sorry. But you can take on.
No. I was just giving a, yeah.
But I would just remember, like, there is like different parties I go to during the Christmas Eve, and many events that celebrate this. But at the end, you just like go out for dinner and have a lot of drinks.
Yeah. And party.
And party, yeah.
And we were young, so we would find a lot of a Christmas to do. Yeah.
Yeah, it was a good,
Yeah, so
good commemoration.
so that was the inspiration sort of triggered me to always follow this village and making the work about what's the true meaning of Christmas, or maybe is there a true meaning of Christmas? So yeah, back to the film. It's not only about the Christmas ornament making. It is also about how religion has misleaded from people's belief, but also intertwined with folklores, but then consumed by the globalization.
Thanks. And we can see it in the exhibition.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think, some of the things that you show, maybe I should explain. So what he was saying, scholars, so I think you mean like literati scholars that do well in the civil service examination. So they are like local heroes, right? That they go and work for the imperial court, or and that you saw halls for like ancestral veneration previously, but you're saying that now they've all disappeared, right? Because everything is basically geared toward this production of Christmas ornaments.
Yeah.
Oh.
It's very funny that you've been there. I have a story because my family origins are from Wencheng, which is in Wenzhou Xian in the county. And one of the stories my great uncle told me, actually, because I asked him the questions, our origin, how we get there. And basically, in a short shell, is they were the Hu family. They were driven out from the north and fled to where they are now, because the family history is only around 900 years. And apparently, one of the high officials knew at that time in the dynasty that it wasn't going well, so he fled away from court and holed up in the mountains. Nobody could find him. He had a very low profile, and those around him asked him, you have went through this examination, you can have a high position, why are you holed up here? He said, to save my life and my family. So that's because now Wenzhou is very well known because of its industrialist environment. But if we're talking about a century back, it wasn't. It was a valley and mountainous and agricultural mostly, rice paddies, for example.
Change of scenery, actually.
Sorry?
A completely change of scenery.
You could say that. Yeah, in a way. So it's very funny how stories cross here at the table.
Yeah. And can you, because we have had many guests on the table and most of them were just born in the Netherlands. Actually, I think a few of them were born in China, but not as you were all born in China. You were raised in China, and it made you, I think, it combines your identity on a different way in your art and in your craftsmanship. Can you tell me a little bit how it did influence you? So you told a little bit about there was nothing, so you created out of nothing a lot. Yeah. And nothing is also a quotation because what's nothing. But can you tell us a little bit how it is to be in the Netherlands and the differences in the craftsmanship you face here and in the difference of... Yeah. Okay. I stop.
It's for me. It's difficult after my marriage. I worked in Shanghai 7 days a week. Mm-hmm. I only have a week holiday, in the end of the year for the Chinese New Year.
And the rest of the weeks you were working?
I work, in the gallery. So. It's difficult when I was here and everything is become still. I have to learn Dutch and go to the Inburg courses. And very soon I was pregnant from my oldest son. Mm-hmm. And I have to get used to the temperature, I didn't talk much. I don't know what should I say, what I can say.
And
it's difficult to know people. I don't know how Dutch people thinks.
So there was really a major gap in between because you were there 51 weeks working.
Yeah.
And I think famous as well?
No.
But people didn't.
I think,
you were nothing.
Yeah.
She was known. Is he known in China for art?
I don't think so, but I worked in the gallery. Known in 1998 was Bill Clinton. The President Bill Clinton has been on our gallery.
He was in
Which
your
gallery?
gallery.
In our gallery. In
Aura.
他的 gallery.
Not my gallery.
The
The gallery
name is called Aura, right?
in 豫园，can you know 豫园点春堂can you
I'm not so sure.
豫园
豫园, of course. Yeah.
in that 点春堂 there's a gallery. I worked there. So in 1998 was the president of America.
Yeah,
he
Bill
went
Clinton,
he went
he
there
finished
with his daughter to visit our gallery. It's not my I'm known, but the gallery is known. the place where I work is known.
Yeah, so you're part of being there.
I have been there and I have shaken the hands to Bill Clinton. Anyone say, "Don't wash your hands." I was only 21, so I didn't know.
But it made impression.
Yeah, but I know I came from a little village.
Yeah.
I know nothing.
No
I come
idea
there.
who's
I don't
there.
know what's the image.
Who the person was.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not known, but the gallery is known.
I understand. But then the difference to the Netherlands is completely
different.
Yeah.
Different environment.
And is that how did you work with that? Because I can imagine that it touches your heart on a very deep level.
Yeah. In the first years, sometimes I have to break off, have to cry a little bit because I can't do what I want to do because the little kids, you have to take care. For my work, I have to have a space. That's also I have to be inside, have to peace. I have to do it. With the children around me, I can get peace inside. I have to think, what he needs, what.
Yeah.
So, after our second son is going to the primary school, I begin my painting.
You're recreating.
You created my painting, yeah.
It's your second phase of creating.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's very happy mag te doen. That I allowed to do it again.
How do you feel when you're making this? Is it like a sort of a meditative practice, or is it because you were saying about that you need sort of inner peace to be able to do this?
Yeah, most of the time you have to need inner peace. I can do it anywhere. Also, many people around me, doesn't matter. If I paint, I paint. But I need the inner peace. To create a work is not easy. But when you know what are you going to paint and how are you going to paint, and it's a journey to enjoy your paint journey.
So it's the outcome. That's your focus.
Yeah.
And then you can sit in a...
the difficult time is the ideas to come in your mind, and you have to set it on paper. When you paint inside the painting, you feel the time is standing still. You feel peace. you feel happy, meditate.
So it's a being, like you were saying, both of you.
Yeah, the first time to create it is difficult. The difficult part to creating the first in your mind, and you have to set it on the paper.
And did you have the same spirit like you had in China when you were creating? Does it feel the same?
Yeah. So when I was a child, I wanted to paint. I want. But in the village, many people said to my parents, "Don't let daughter to paint, and they can survive. It's better to learn to make clothes, what I mother did, of to be a doctor." So
because
painting, you can earn nothing. So don't do it. So they have a discussion with my parents.
And now, are they proud of you in your village?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good.
When I married, my husband went to our village. It's very high, tall, and the mayor of the village came to our home to say, "Wow, it's so high! It's a mountain." And he said the first foreigner came to our village was the Japanese to get over to who's that to see?
就到你们这个
Yeah, the Japanese to
参观吗？
Japanese.
the
During the Second World War.
yeah.
So not a good commemoration.
Yeah, the second, the second foreigner is my husband.
It's your husband. Wow.
So it's not, but he's coming for peace.
So
Yeah.
like your husband there
Yeah.
in Japanese.
Yeah, that is absolutely.
And Coco, you're also from a small village, right?
Yeah.
And do they follow you? Are they proud of you? How's your connection with them? Or
I think they are. From my parents, they told me I'm not very in touch with them that much anymore because I left there when I was really young, 10 years old. So most of my growing up was in Shanghai. But I hope they are proud of me. Otherwise, I'm proud of myself.
you better be.
I am.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You have a beautiful
background for the listeners. Talking about jazz music, especially when you got the question, what is Chinese jazz? What a lot of people don't realize that during the 30s, Shanghai was roaring. It was called the Paris in Asia.
Yeah.
And the sentence of the New York, the city which is always alive, that never sleeps, is actually Shanghai. Was a mention for Shanghai.
Yeah.
Then the next thing is that Weatherford was a very famous black musician. At the time, in the 30s, the racism and discrimination in the States was very, very high. There were actually musicians were not, how do you say that, afraid of their life, their livelihoods. So he came to Shanghai and actually, having success there, invited Bill Clayton, and Bill Clayton brought along the Harlem Boys. And it was actually the beginning of jazz arriving in Shanghai. But those artists, and it's a little bit the story what Coco tells, artists meet among artists. So they met local artists. And Weatherford also realized to get success because he got a taste of life. There was no discrimination or racism as he experienced as back home. Imagined himself having a life there. And connected with a very famous Chinese musician, artist. I forgot his name, unfortunately. But he was willing to adapt Chinese music with jazz influence.
Serious.
So Chinese jazz has certainly its roots.
In
because,
the black
back then.
1920s.
Yeah.
So
1920s, 30s.
for me, as a older or younger generation or something in between, but for the love of music, I went to the roots, how did it happen? Because born outside, I thought, oh my God, what's this? But due to the World War and also the war with the communism, the last place of origin is the Peace Hotel. The last musician they either
Peace
died.
Hotel.
Yeah,
Peace
the Peace Hotel.
Yeah.
Beautiful
They
name.
either died or they're now in the 90s, so to speak. They were playing constantly the same tune. Therefore, foreign musicians who arrived in Shanghai tried to find something of the old jazz, only so does old artists, and had no appreciation because they didn't grow, because forced due political and war environment, there was no exchange anymore, because even the artists, they all left.
They stayed
Whether for
on the
themselves
same
went to
level.
Vietnam.
This is quite interesting how Rong Hua gave you this little background of how Shanghai jazz became. It was like that, yeah. And during the Cultural Revolution, jazz was buried away.
Yeah.
You were
It
not
wasn't
supposed-
allowed? Or was it
Yeah, it was
Not
not
allowed.
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 Western music.
It was supposed to be was considered as decadent music, decadency.
Decadency.
But decadent kills depressions. I don't know why we don't allow decadence. But anyway, right?
Between the Cultural Revolution, everybody so wound up. They
wind up.
I was saying that as
maybe that.
yeah.
No, but it killed a lot and left also a lot of scars.
I can imagine. Yeah.
Yeah.
But after 90s, we were the first. Well, actually, we were not the first. The first was Liu Yuan from Beijing.
Yeah.
Yeah, from late 1980s, beginning of 1990s. He started with Cui Jian. So Cui Jian is the godfather of Chinese rock and roll.
Oh, 不是刘百吗?
Huh?
Liu Bai. I thought Liu Bai, that he was the rock and roll from Beijing.
Cui,
Then I'm mistaken. I have a different artist in my head.
I
for
think it's
rock and roll.
Cui Jian.
Okay.
Yeah, Cui Jian is the godfather of Chinese rock and roll. And Liu Yue was the saxophone player in his band. And that's where jazz kind of coming back first in Beijing. Then in Shanghai, we were the first kids who started to retro jazz back.
And did you want it to play jazz, or did you kind of rebel to
No,
play
I was
jazz?
forced. No,
You were
no, sorry.
No.
I like to make jokes. Please forgive me.
No,
They made
I like jokes,
They,
but I
they
never
put
know.
me
In
on the
jail.
cross, and I had.
But you played jazz finally. Thank you.
Yeah, we did. Out of curiosity, out of a passion, out of just pure pleasures. Music gives,
Joy.
joy.
I understand, but it could be all kind of music variants could give you joy, but you chose jazz.
I think jazz. I think if we all kind of know jazz a little bit, we know there's a lot of improvisations in jazz music, and that requires of daring. Right? So I think that's why when I talk to Jung, I can already feel he likes to break rules. I don't know. Maybe you're not. You like to set up rules too, but I think somewhere you like to break rules.
Yeah.
In jazz music, that's
good.
like what I did.
Cool.
Break the rules. So yeah. Wait, I lost my point a bit. Can you tell me?
Why jazz?
I was wondering why you chose it.
Oh yeah. Because of the improvisation part, also because of the teamwork part. So this requires a lot of yourself to gain your own musical vocabularies, but that's not the only thing you have to focus on. You also have to focus on how to make teamwork with your band members. You have to know how your voice can sit in this music, what's your function, what's your responsibility, and what's other band members' function and responsibility. And if you know that better, then you can,
Then it's the cooperation work again.
yeah, then you find your home.
Yeah.
And you're trying to, and also this balance for us, it's not like fixed. This balance is like time is constantly moving.
It's always on the move. And
Yeah,
it's
so it's like you
changing.
stand on this wood, underneath is a ball. You have to do this to find the balance.
We're almost at the end of
I
our
just one question
conversation.
to you, HF. Do you work alone, or do you also work in a team?
I most of the time work alone. Yeah. But of course, sometimes during editing or filming, I work with other professionals.
Because I think what the two of you are doing is quite individual. You have your own, and what you are doing is more like, you know, you cannot do it on your own. Of course you can, but you cannot.
I can. Actually, for most composition part, I only do it on my own.
Sure.
But when it comes to the band as performing,
recording,
then it's the teamwork. Yeah.
Yeah, and then you step into it, and then you're part of a.
Yeah.
So we're almost an hour. You know, it's amazing, and the food.
Yeah.
delicious.
It was.
Delicious.
Looking forward.
As long as you
to start.
enjoyed it.
Yeah.
You just, you know, okay, you are experienced Chinese because you are from China, and how is this food compared to what you have eaten in Shanghai or in Hebei? Just be honest. How is this? How does this food?
For me, it was heel lekker.
Heel lekker.
Yeah. Thank you,
Is it the same? Is it different? Is it?
Yeah, in China it's big. Where I'm from, have different foods than in Shanghai.
Sure.
I have to.
Hebei is the north.
It's
so
the north
the
of
northern
China,
cuisine.
yeah. So I like this very much. It's delicious.
Yeah. And this has all different of Sichuan, Canton,
Cantonese.
all different parts of Chinese regions. So, yeah, and it's delicious.
You'd better. You're happy to be the last guest because really this is the best dish we have
No,
had.
we
I
had
guess.
lobster and two types of prawns. It's.
Well, we
I
can
think
thank
we
you
can
all.
thank- yeah.
Yeah.
You do the
The
Aftiteling?
thanking part. Yeah.
the thank you
Just
part.
the
Thanksgiving.
Thanksgiving.
You just
Yeah,
thank
well, it's just one word. Thank you. Yeah, it was great to have you here.
Dank je wel.
Dank Jong. Het was een cadeautje.
And now
Om
we
samen
stop
te
the record
werken.
button and start eating because we had to eat so neatly. Now we do it in the Chinese way, just, you know, attack.
Attack.
Thank you. 谢谢.
谢谢。
Ik hoop dat je genoten hebt en dat je het net zo lekker vond en interessant vond als ik.
Ja, en wil je dit nou echt bekijken? Ga dan naar het Wereldmuseum in Rotterdam vanaf 10 oktober 2024 en een jaar lang in Rotterdam. Het jaar daarna in Amsterdam. En wil je nog meer weten? Schrijf je in voor onze mailinglist en de details vind je onderaan deze video.